Why I named my Icon Revival after a U2 jet, plus one shout out. Let's get cracking. Good moto morning. Welcome to another episode of Kraken's Garage. I'm your host, Eric. And on Kraken's Garage, we discuss all good things on 2 and 3 wheels, plus some scooter and mini moto content. Today on Kraken's Garage, we're going to discuss why I named my bike after a U2 jet, plus give one shout out at the end. I hope you all look forward and wait for that towards the end of the video. And we're going to install my quad lock system that I had on another bike. I already shot a video on how to do that, and I'm not going to do it again. So we'll just do some time lapse as we zip through this and we get ready for springtime, making sure my bike's ready to roll. And we have a very special guest who's going to do the intro. Let's get to it.
Get cracking.
So those of you that have been following the channel, I've shared with you about my father in fireside chats and things like that, that he was a test pilot. He actually flew active duty and was also one of the test pilots that developed the U2. And the U2, most of the younger generation isn't going to know what this plane is all about. During the Cold War with Russia and the Cuban Missile Crisis, they would take these planes and fly them on the edge of space, literally at 70,000 feet, and they would take pictures of Russia and they could see where they were strategically placing missiles. And that's where the world famous U2 got shot down, or what they call the U2 incident with Gary Powers. Maybe or maybe not, I'll talk to you about how that went down, but he got shot down by Russian air-to-ground missiles and was taken prisoner. And there was some very high-class information on this plane regarding how they were able to film at 70,000 feet and how the plane was able to fly at 70,000 feet. Without digging too much further in the weeds on that, back then, the pilots or test pilots got to name their airplanes. And Pop named his U2 Rocinante. And Rocinante is a Spanish term from the famous novel of Don Quixote. Rocinante was a fictional character of a spine-halved-starved horse or a mule. I'm not exactly sure because I've heard it from both. Don Quixote was, in his mind, the noble knight riding this steed. It designates his noble steed in the classic novel Don Quixote. By the way, Miguel de Cervantes wrote that novel in 2 series in 1605 and 1615. He was 26 years old when he wrote that novel. Highly recommend it if you would like a good read. So my takeaway from reading that book or books is, in many ways, Rocinante is not only Don Quixote's horse, but also his double. Like Don Quixote, he is awkward, past his prime, and engaged in a task beyond his capabilities. Kind of reminds me of myself at this point as I'm getting older. Rosin in Spanish means workhorse or low-quality horse, but can also mean an illiterate or rough man. The name is a complex pun. In Spanish, ante has several meanings and can function as a standalone word as well as a suffix. Rocinante's name then signifies his change in status from old nag of before to the foremost steed, as Cervantes describes Don Quixote's choice by name. So my takeaway from the meaning is Don Quixote spent 4 days thinking about what name to give his horse, because, as he said to himself, it's not right that a horse belonging to a knight so famous, one with such merits of his own, should be without some distinctive name, and he strove to adapt it as to indicate that he would have been belonging to a knight errant, and what he then was. So my father, who was very bright and thinking things through, named his U2 Rosinante. And that is the name of probably the last new Harley I ever buy in my life, as we are both represent old as we travel down the road, but we're not broken yet. So we have finished the install of the quad lock, and it also has the vibration dampener to protect the camera on the phone. Very expensive phone. And it has a quick release, and it also has the Q charger, so I don't need any wires to connect to my phone. I pop it on there and she starts charging, and I can use it going down the road. I have it directly wired into USB port for the head unit on the bike. So hopefully that'll all work well together. We'll let you know in the future how that plays out. I did have to tuck the wire up underneath and zip line it to the handlebars to make sure it wasn't unsightly. Real briefly, in 50 words or less, Kraken's opinion of how Francis Gary Powers got shot down is, after speaking with Pop all my life, many things he wouldn't tell me. He took them to his grave, as they were still considered classified, and he would not even share them with me, as he shouldn't. At 70,000 feet, you're on the edge of space. Back in the 50s, they didn't have computers that figured out how to mix the air-fuel mixture in the planes or in the jets. You had to do that manually. If you had a flame out, meaning you gave too much fuel or too much air, and the flame out on the motor would happen, it only had one engine, you had to drop down to a lower altitude to where the air got thicker. The air is very thin at 70,000 feet, and that brought Mr. Powell's plane down to a lower altitude that brought it within ground-to-air missile strikes from Russia. I don't know this for a fact, but after reading up on the topic, they threw so many missiles up in the air trying to shoot this U-2 down that 3 airliners that were Russian airliners got shot down. I don't know that for a fact, that's conjecture. So that's kind of how that story went down back then. I hope you enjoyed today's story of why I chose Rosinante to name my bike, and another piece of my life regarding my father and his unimaginable life that he had as a pilot in this country. And just a quick install, nothing epic there. Your takeaway from this is not anything really educational, it's more sharing a piece of my life again. And hopefully your takeaway is spring is in the air. Get out there and get on your bike. Quit watching YouTube videos like this. Get out and ride your bike. And if you can't ride, pick up a book and read it. Improve your vocabulary, your knowledge of the world, and it will make you a more rounded person. That's my advice to you. So strongly recommend. To all my end watchers, this week's shout out goes to Roland Keith. I had to switch my hat to my Australian hat. That should give you a clue. To all my end watchers, this week's shout out goes to Roland Keith. He hails from Australia. Don't know how many subs he has. I don't know how many subs he has. Content creators can choose to not display that to the public, but hopefully he has a bunch. He has a whopping 153 videos out. He's rocking a Suzuki Boulevard M109R, and I believe he also has a Kawasaki ZX14R. And I believe he's in the southern part of Australia. What I like about Roland's channel is, he's doing a collab right now with Bolt Bucket, and they're working on doing some joint things together, which is a lot of fun when your mates get involved in the content creating. But Roland also does everything from cooking to you'll see how-to videos on how to repair your plastics on your bike if you tip it over. In general, trips he takes, in his truck even. So like his channel is much like mine. It is all over the place. He does what he likes, and I like that about Roland. I hope you go check him out. He's a legend in Australia. If you like him, give him a thumbs up and subscribe to him and let him know the Kraken sent you. And there's my ghost dog, Bourbon. He's here to remind me to wrap things up. If you would like to become a Patreon, the link is listed down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. If you want to see more in the future, hit that subscribe button right down there in the corner. And remember, folks, go riding. It's good for you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.